And it looks like we are live. Welcome back to Startup Talk. I'm your host, the Startup Coach, and with me today are the co-founders of Prospera Labs, Bradley and Raman. How are you doing today?
Good. How are you
Amazing.
doing, Craig?
I'm doing great. It sounds like it's an exciting day, at least over at the Bradley household. I'm not going to spill the beans now that we're live, but it sounds exciting.
Yeah, it's gonna be good. It's gonna be good for sure.
All right, let's get started. Can you share a little bit? We'll start with you, Raman, about your background and what inspired you to pursue entrepreneurship.
Yes, sure. So I started. I'll start from sort of like a career side of things, unless we want to go back. But so I studied electrical engineering here at Ryerson in Toronto. After graduating, I started looking for work, obviously, and then as I was looking for engineering job, I've always been entrepreneur type of person. So right out of university, I needed money, so I started actually building fences for people in their backyard. So entrepreneurship has always, since even before that has been, sort of part of me, and I have never had any issues with, kicking off a business and trying to make money off of that. And then I got my so I studied electrical engineering. I got a couple of engineering jobs. They were mostly on the power distribution, that type of. I didn't enjoy that part of electrical hardware engineering as much, and then I sort of shifted more towards software around 2007, 8, and it's pretty much been working with various companies. I started Elecsoft, which is a software consulting company as well. Started that in 2007 and sort of been just in the software side of things since then.
And Bradley?
Yes. So my background, I have been in and around startups pretty much my whole career. Going right back to when I was a teenager and I wrote this program called Recipe Search Engine, and I burned a bunch of CDs and sold them at the local gas station. And um, I had a lot of projects in university that I tried to get going, none of which really went anywhere. But um, once I came to Toronto, I joined a startup called Sensible, and I think that's really where I got the hands-on kind of practical experience. The two co-founders there, Jamie and Corey, really tremendous people. They both gave me a lot of space to both be myself and develop my skills at the startup. And there I got into artificial intelligence, just trying to solve their receipt processing problem kind of gradually led me towards machine learning. And I met a person named Julian. Credit to Julian, because if you're listening, Julian, it was you who got me into neural networks. And at the time, I thought they were, I mean, people had already been talking about and writing about neural networks for years, but he kind of pointed me in that direction in 2015. There was no PyTorch or any of those tools. We used LuaTorch back then. And when I saw that first neural network, and I had been working on this algorithm for 18, maybe 20 months. This token matching algorithm is basically a variant of the nearest neighbor machine learning algorithm. Then we try out this neural network, and it takes our accuracy immediately from like 85% up to 98%. And one weekend of work, you know? And so I'm looking at this and I'm like, I just did 20 months of effort to get an 85% result. I download this neural network. It gives me 98% with one weekend of labor. I knew immediately this was the most important technology. I was like, this is relevant. This shit matters and I need to understand this. And I've been, after learning it a lot about it as Sensible, I started Electric Brain, which was a kind of consulting firm. After Electric Brain, I did a couple other AI startups of my own kind of product businesses, Koala and Swiftly AI. Then I went to California trying to learn more skills down there. and worked for a few startups down there. And when I came back, I feel like I've gained everything I need finally to actually launch a successful product startup of my own.
So there's a couple of questions here. I'm going to kind of juggle them in order. I'd like to do this in kind of timeline. How did you meet?
I don't totally remember.
How do we meet? I know we met through Toronto's meetup network, tech startup network. And we started talking about software testing, and that's sort of what my consulting business was at the time. And Brad was building Koala, or he was just kicking off Koala at that time, which
Yes,
was
yeah.
automated AI, testing suite. So yeah, I joined as an advisor on that startup, and that's how we sort of kept in touch from there on. With my other business, I would, talk to Brad once in a while and get his input, get his input from, a technical side of things. He would advise me once in a while on things as well. So that's how we sort of kept in touch. And then earlier this year, I had pretty much started wrapping up my career. I figured I'd be retiring this year, and I was out here in Prince Edward County. Me and Brad were part of a group that Brad had started. He posted something about wanting to work with a prompt engineer. So I said, let me see what this is about. Let me help him out. Just wanting to learn, and from curiosity, I'm like, I have time. I can talk about this. And that's when Brad showed me Flow Thought, the product at that time, and what it can do. And then that really excited me. And then we started from there on, sort of discussing where this should go, and then slowly Prospera was born.
So what inspired you to create Prospera? You guys were working on different things potentially. And then why Prospera? What problem were you trying to solve? You were doing other things. Why this?
Should I take this one?
Yeah, go for it.
So, I think one important attribute of what allowed me to succeed this year versus some prior times was not being too fussed about the specific product that I was building, and rather letting that be a more evolutionary process. And where previously I kind of had like a bolt of lightning vision, it's like Koala, oh my God, reinforcement learning for AI. This is going to be amazing. This year, it was a little bit more just follow the money. And that was like my basic thought when I started, was like, I am only going to build something if there's real customers for it. And I am not going to waste any time if there's no customers. And so, as I was trying to get my consulting business coming up, I noticed that there was a lot of customers for these AI agents. So I'm like, all right, okay, I'm going to pivot to AI agents. That seems to be the hot demand right now. And increasingly, I think over the year, we've narrowed down even further and kind of identified what our niche within the AI agent landscape is. And so I would say that it was an evolutionary process, but gradually identifying like who are the unique customers we have, why are they not being served by these other channels and these other offerings, and kind of homing in on the message and the product that serves them.
Well, this leads me naturally into what does Prospera Labs do, and how do your solutions help businesses?
I can start off on this one. So we've pivoted quite a bit over the last little while, as Brad just mentioned. So I'll give a bit of. So Brad was building AI agents one at a time for the clients at the time. So I was doing it as a consulting and the service sort of business. And then when I joined, I sort of took over the sales part of things, and then just understood what type of customers are we getting. And then what we realized was we were getting very similar type of requests, even though they were for completely different businesses, but the end problem was very similar that we're trying to solve. And then it would take a lot of time to build one AI agent at a time. And then we sort of pivoted towards, first we started actually build. We were getting a lot of requests, so we built AI agents for ourselves. We built a receptionist, built a sales agent that would actually start helping with some of the incoming leads that were coming in. And then we slowly, kept refining and thinking that we need to reduce the time to build each of our agents. It would be 6 weeks, 8 weeks, and then we, figured out to reuse some of the code, brought it down to 5, 6 weeks, and then further tweaking, started building it into the modules. We would grab a module for agents. It's like outbound or intake, depending on that. And then we figured this is still taking too long. 4 or 5 weeks is still too long to build an AI agent. And then we figured let's improve our technology even further, so that instead of us building it for people, let people come to our platform and let them build their own AI agents. So that's how sort of the business evolved. So right now, the target market is entrepreneurs, business people that can use AI agents within their businesses, or they can actually go out and sell and build a business around AI agents, building for others.
So let me drill a little deeper on that. So you don't go and implement all sorts of tools on a client site to do something. They actually go to your website and use your tools to build whatever they need.
That's correct. That's correct. And then just to add there, we can still integrate into all of the tools they are currently using. So we can, quickly do integrations into them, so they don't have to change their existing tools or, leave a platform to go to another platform. We're just adding on to the capabilities that they already have.
And I noticed you had, like you'd mentioned, sales agents. What other kind of agents are you offering?
In addition to sales agents, so we have the receptionist. We have a lot of intake type of modules that we have built. So businesses, for example, for our financial advisors, when they onboard their clients, they have a lot of questions that they go through to sort of see where the client may be fit in terms of are they high risk, low risk, what's their investment style. So doing a lot of that type of initial conversations with the customer. So we built a few agents like that for our customers.
I think some of the agents that I'm most excited about personally that we're building kind of have a combination of 3 factors. They have the intake module that Raman is discussing. So like they'll ask someone a bunch of questions, kind of follow up, clarify points and details. Let's say it's trying to understand a legal situation that you're in. It's not just like a Google form. It's going to ask a lot of details, really try to clarify points. If you try to lie, it's going to tease you out. Okay, maybe not. That's probably a bit of a stretch on that last one, but we'll get there. But then, okay, second part. So it's asked you a lot of questions, and now it's going to analyze that against some knowledge base. So, for example, you might upload laws and regulations or best practices. Let's say your company, you have like an operating manual with a lot of best practices. So you upload that to your knowledge base. And so it's put together a profile of your situation. It's analyzing it against the knowledge base, against rules and best practices, and then putting together, the third piece is putting together a nicely formatted, clean report as its output with its analysis, its conclusions on your situation. So I don't want to get into the specifics, but a number of our projects kind of follow that basic structure of like intake, knowledge base, analysis, nicely formatted document on the output. And we can really build those pretty quickly now with our new engine.
So a startup, there's 2 schools of thought. Focus intensely on your ideal ICP, your ideal client avatar, or focus loosely and use the shotgun effect and actually figure out, what sticks to the wall and what doesn't, then hyper focus down once that goes. During our conversation, you mentioned it wasn't just people in the same industry necessarily, but people who had the same problem. So who are your target customers and how did you discover how to find them?
Um, Most of our customers actually have been coming to us so far, so we haven't had to go look for them just yet, as we were, just sort of building the platform to the customers that were coming to us. Were trying to understand what their issues are, and is this a repeatable solution that's across multiple industries, or is this very niche one industry type of problem? Um, so our target market for our platform is actually the entrepreneurs that are looking to build businesses with AI agents. So they would be sort of resellers of our agents. They will partner with us, have white label AI agents that then they can go target industries that they have the knowledge about. For example, it can be, somebody who works at dealerships. They understand what the pain points are for dealerships. They understand what within the dealership needs to be automated and can be taken care of by AI agents. So we would build those, and our partners will go ahead and then do the sales and build their own business around it.
That's a fantastic business model because it gets people off the ground pretty quickly. Um, how much time does it usually take for someone to go in, get their solution sorted, and get to the point where they can start delivering it to a customer?
Go for it, Brett.
So I think that could vary widely depending on the nature of the solution, right? So we work with partners that are just basically a reseller for our receptionist product. We're hoping that by the end of January that is self-serve. You log in, you can plug in your own domain, plug in your logo. Suddenly you are a reseller of receptionists and you're out there making money based on AI agents. Now, if you want something a little more custom where there's like a knowledge base involved and different types of documents are being uploaded, that takes a little bit more white glove service. That's maybe more on 4 to 6 weeks of turnaround time. If you're just looking for a sales bot and the only customization we need to do is some like business logic for your proposal, like we need to, if you're trying to sell solar panels, for example, I mean, I don't know much about solar panels, right? So you got to tell me that. I encode that into the prompts, and the bot can suddenly generate proposals for solar panels. So that type of bot, more like 2 to 3 weeks. So I think it can vary widely depending on the complexity of it. Obviously, if we're plugging into an integration, that can take a whole lot longer than if we're just doing like a plain vanilla bot where you upload the data using CSVs. But we built the whole engine on the basis of trying to move faster. As like, how do we get agents in the hands of these business entrepreneurs that are not getting good results from the competing platforms? And how do we get them in their hands as fast as possible while also making sure that they don't fail, like that they don't set up and configure something that just doesn't work and like doesn't solve their problem. So it's there's a tension between the need for speed and the need to make sure that things work and they're reliable. But I think we're positioned well to find a good balance.
Yeah. And over time, we'll also have more pre-built, sort of ready-to-go agents as
Yeah.
well, right? So people wouldn't have to come on and then do all of the configuration. They would have to just upload their own business information, knowledge base, and then they're good to go.
That sounds like a natural progression just over time as you go, okay, great, let's do the next one, let's do the next one, let's tweak it.
Yeah, we get more pre-made modules. We kind of gradually are able to do a lot more self-serve, a lot more off the shelf. Less is required from our success team.
AI is changing the world, and you're using it to help companies in various ways. When I talk to different AI and automation companies, they're talking about saving man hours. You might talk about sales. How do you define success for Prospera Labs as a company?
Let's so I think our goal is to actually add efficiencies to businesses. So what we want to do is, look at businesses, create, entrepreneurs, enable entrepreneurs to be able to launch their business quickly and efficiently. So I think the more entrepreneurs we can enable to do that, the more businesses we can add efficiencies to. I think that's where sort of our success will lie. We want to free people up from day-to-day menial tedious jobs and to sort of free up the time to do bigger and better things with their time. I think that would be true success for us.
So, AI is taking us by storm. It seems like every day there's new AI news. Someone's released a new model. OpenAI. I haven't even looked what their 12 days of OpenAI, what today is. Maybe you have, but we're all busy. I look later in the day and see what now is today. Yesterday was their visual model. So you can actually talk to it via video and it can respond and it can say, answer different questions based on video and stuff, which is interesting. But these things are changing all the time with things like computer use, the stories of even O1 trying to escape the lab where it lied to the developers and tried to replicate itself off a server and whatnot. Where do you see AI and automation in the next 5 to 10 years? As in the last year, if you asked me a year ago, I would have told you AI is going nowhere. It can't do what people think it can do, but it's grown so fast in that last year that I am amazed and shocked. And if people aren't using AI today, they need to be jumping on the bandwagon. But we're at the very tip of it. Where do you see this being in 5 to 10 years? And how do you see this transforming businesses?
What I'm thinking is the way it would transform businesses, I think a lot less manpower would be required. In the long run, what I'm thinking is majority of the companies will probably be just one-person companies. You can imagine something, and through AI agents, through a lot of automation, you will be able to scale pretty quickly. It'll come down to you will be able to succeed in the business and industry if you have the imagination, new ideas, originality. If it's anything to do with repetition, tedious, time-consuming jobs, it'll all be replaced.
The jobs that remain are the jobs people want. That's like right. Whatever the humans want to do, they get to do it, and they get to give everything boring and lame and crappy off to agents. So I think a lot of us are just gonna, like, entrepreneurs and executives, like they're the ones who will be left. It'll be a whole bunch of people doing politics with each other while AIs do all the real work. Just try to execute whatever the decision the humans finally agreed to was.
Well, when the bots rule the world, then it's the people who program the bots that have the jobs.
Yep.
So the world is changing, and you see these tools everywhere. I've seen recently that shipyard that's 100% automated. There's no people, where it's offloading all the shipping tanker things onto the trucks and everything. It's amazing. But that's thousands of jobs. And we start looking, and the Luddite in me says this is bad, but the pragmatist in me says it's inevitable. I feel like when we start talking about this, it's who was the guy in the Matrix, who replicated? He's inevitable. He takes over the system, and there's thousands thousands. Agent Smith, thank you. I just feel like that. It's like it's inevitable. So you can stand there and be an old man and shout at the cloud, or you can not get run over by Agent Smith, because he's coming no matter what. And so you need to start embracing this technology, or your competitors will be. I keep saying customers. Your competitors will be, and you'll be out of business soon. So you really need to.
I feel like that's like just the basic sort of negative case for the technology. Like, at least you have to use it because the next guy is going to. It's kind of the nuclear weapon. Like they've got the AI nuke, so you need the AI nuke too.
Well, I say you think that's a negative thing, but when the electronic printing press came along versus the handwritten one. It wasn't long before no one was doing the hand cranked one. I'm just saying it's just the
Yeah.
way life
Right.
changes.
That's it, yeah.
Industrial age, we're moving into a AI age, if lack of a better thing. And the point being is you can hire 10 employees to do this stuff, or as a entrepreneur, you can spend some time and say, I can build a bunch of AI agents and now I only need 2 employees and now I can scale, or maybe not even. But the point being is now I can do this work without expending all those costs. I remember interviewing Dr. Sean Wise of Dragon's Den and The Naked Entrepreneur, and he's written probably more than 5 books now on entrepreneurship. He talked about there was no cheaper time and better time to start a startup, and that was like 5 years ago. And now I'm just thinking it's cheaper and faster now. You can, with some tools, you can turn on a business in no time, build a website in seconds, have things coded. It's an amazing, amazing world. What is your advice for someone who's starting up and looking at these tools? Where would they go, and what should they start thinking about automating?
So I think about you have to add value. Like, you want to compete in this new AI landscape, you have to add value, right? Everybody else, just like you're saying, they're going to be increasing their value add, right? If we look at marketers, right, a lot more marketing is now getting done. There's a lot more content getting generated, right? A lot more people are keeping their feeds full and they're able to do daily content, So in that arms race where everybody is suddenly able to ramp up their value, the people who are doing no content, at least they're now doing daily posting. The people who are doing daily posting, now they're doing high quality, well-researched daily posts. The people who are already doing high quality, well-researched daily posts, now they're getting the equivalent labor of like a week from an AI, all invested into like one super crazy optimized post, So you have to think about, how do you increase your level of value as a person? And that includes AI. AI should be a tool in your toolbox for you to increase your own value, rather than seeing it as something competing with you on being able to provide value.
Yeah, at minimum, just look within your business and see what are the things that people don't want to do, right? Those are the easy ones to target. If there's jobs, if there's tedious tasks or like repetitive tasks that people in your business just don't want to do, or they dread doing, just target those. Those are the easy, low hanging fruit. No one will be upset about it if you automate those ones, for sure.
I was talking with one of the co-founders of Open House AI, Will Zhang, the other day, and they're using automation in the construction build business with home builders. And so it leads me naturally to this question: is what industries do you think are currently underutilizing AI? Because I never would have thought that traditional industry moving quickly to AI. It's just not a thing you would think of based on its nails and wood and tiles and construction vehicles. What other areas do you think the traditional industries are underutilizing AI and automation, and why do you think they're not embracing it yet?
I think I don't know if there's one specific industry per se, but I think there's some hurdles in adopting AI. A lot of it is around rules and regulations and compliance. I think that's where, a lot of law work can be done through AI agents, but in order for an AI agent to be a lawyer, it needs all the certifications and law school, pass the bar exam, and all of those things, right? So I think the hurdles are more around the rules and regulations and the compliance issues. I think all industries are pretty much ready and wanting to adopt AI from what we've seen talking to people.
That's great. Let's just jump to the next one here. How do you balance the potential of AI to drive growth with, what we were just talking about, the concern about its impact on jobs in the workforce? Do you say, there's a natural progression here that we can as humans add value where we add value the most and take away some of the other stuff with AI and automation that's more redundant and soul draining. Or do you say, like I said, this is inevitable at some point, costs have to go down and productivity has to go up. So embrace this or join in an industry that's not going to embrace this.
Should I comment on this one?
Sorry for throwing all this other
So the question being, how do we balance those two challenges? One, our desire for AI as a driver of prosperity, and the other being the potential negative impacts on AI on people's jobs. I think so. If you ask my opinion, I think we need to go full steam ahead. The impact on jobs is overblown and probably going to be negligible over the long term, just like it was with the self-driving cars. These things take a lot longer. They take decades to play out. All right. Most people's careers only last 4 decades, right? I honestly don't think that the concern that is shared by a lot of the Luddites is really in the same magnitude of concern as the benefits that we're going to derive from AI. And I think that any attempt to like mitigate, I know we talk about job retraining, like there's the obvious things that people can do to manage disruptive change. But I think there are a lot of people who are so old, they're just not going to learn to adopt AI. And those people really are going to get left behind. And I think the fact is that the overall benefit to society is much larger if we go full steam ahead than if we attempt to restrain or hold things back just to protect a handful of people who can't adapt. So, in my opinion, the balance should be leaning, the pyramid should be leaning strongly in one direction, which is that we need to develop and adopt this technology. And when it comes to those people get left behind, I don't feel bad for them. They're just the necessary casualty of progress.
You can't hold back the flood by yourself.
Yeah. Definitely not.
So I recently discussed on our Silicon Scoop podcast the recent debacle about Google Gemini telling some of the people working on it that please die. And that leads me to weird ethical considerations as the business needs to keep in mind when implementing AI and automation, when, things can go off the rail quite quickly with AI sometimes. How do you balance that with with the progress and making sure that AI stays on track?
So I can speak to this from an engineering perspective. I think that there's a lot of work that we do to actually put guardrails around AIs, not even necessarily from an ethical constraint perspective, although that is one of those pieces, but often just in the process of getting the bot to do it what you want, you have to put a lot of guardrails around it just to get it to work. Forget ethics. If you add ethics on top of that, once you've put all of these constraints on just to get it to work, the bot really cannot violate your rules. If your rules and what you want the bot to do is unethical, the bot's going to do your unethical biddings. And if you have values and integrity as a person, and you put rules around the bot to impart those values, then I think the bot does what it wants. What we shouldn't do is just let these bots go like willy-nilly, like, with these recursive self-expanding plans. They make their own plan and then execute their own instructions. Those things are a recipe for disaster. These bots hallucinate too often. If it, one day hallucinates kill Brad in the plan and then just like starts meticulously executing its own plan, yeah, maybe I do get killed. So I think but like that particular setup, which although sounds crazy, I'm not so worried about it because it also just doesn't function. Like it as well as it being like crazy from an ethical standpoint, it's also crazy from like a product design standpoint because it doesn't fulfill the actual purpose that the customers want. You know, customers want bots that they have tight control over, not bots that are going loose and willy-nilly and inventing their own plans and whatnot. You know, maybe that is someday where we're going to get, and as these models get more accurate, that's what we're going to get. Ultimately, we may be able to do these self-recursive expansion loops. But I think right now, our process of just doing basic, you know, ground quality engineering on our bots has the side effect of causing those bots to be imparted with our values and our ethics. And so I don't think we should be considering the ethical constraints specifically as related to AI, but rather we should be considering the ethics of the people who are building AI. And are these people of character and integrity? And are they considering ethics at all when they build those systems?
Right, and it's no different than what businesses would have to consider today in terms of ethics. It's the same thing what they would have in place for their human employees, human resources, right? Same things, trainings will go into place. There's rules and regulations, do's and don't do's of the business, and similar way you would have to make sure your AI agents are working within those rules and regulations as well.
What advancements in AI excite you the most? I talked a little bit about OpenAI's 12 Days of AI, but there's new stuff happening all the time with computer use and video chat and whatnot with AI, where it's be able to respond in all sorts of different things. And now coding agents. What excites you the most about AI, and then the future and what's coming out? And then how do you see Prospera Labs, adopting those things for its clients?
So I'll go first from sort of the business side of things, and maybe Brad can add on to from a technical side of things. So what I'm excited about is actually just automating everything, just every job duty. So right now, we're so far mostly around, taking actions within the software, calling APIs and that kind of stuff. I think what I would want to see is also, I'm excited about is real life actions, having our AI agent software actually embedded onto physical robots, physical bots that would actually go take physical actions, go downstairs, grab me a coffee, those type of things as well. So that's what I'm excited about, to see how we can be part of that. And we would love to continue to develop our platform to be able to embed our software into those physical robots.
So I'm maybe speculating a little bit on where these models are going to go, but I'm really excited to see further developments in the core models. For example, I think there's interesting research going on how to get the model to disambiguate conflicting instructions from different people. Right now, that we have system prompting. This is sort of the first iteration of it, where you have the owner provides the system prompt, and if the user gives it instructions that conflict with the system prompt is supposed to win, right? Like the bot does what the owner tells it to do first and what the user tells it to do second. I think we're going to see models develop in more sophisticated ways where you can provide different layers of responses. Like, this is what the CEO said, this is what the middle manager said, this is what their underling said, and then this is what the user said, and it's going to disambiguate, and sort of like what was that old movie, with the three laws, Isaac Asimov, the old book. Oh, what is
well, they're talking about iRobot. Might have been
iRobot. Yeah, had it at the beginning of the movie. Yeah, but there's a book, I think.
He did a series.
Yeah,
the Foundation series where they talk.
Oh yes, yeah. Okay, so there's there's the 3 rules, right? Where it's like the bot is supposed to protect people first, and then it can only protect itself last. It's like if it has to sacrifice itself for a person, it does that. I think we're going to see that type of development on these models where it's not just like system prompts. There might be a hierarchy of prompts that you provide to the model, and the model can inherently disambiguate really complex instructions, and so you give it clear that like you always listen to that person first, that person second, and like it only then listen to the third person as long as it didn't conflict with your instructions from the first two. I think that will be a really interesting development. I would like to see models really develop a lot more kind of those ground level skills in understanding different the different instructions provided to it, and being able to respond not just to one person but to like a whole group of people and their differing needs and requests.
That'll be an interesting evolution. I think we'd all like to see for sure, and that has to be the natural evolution. It has to be. We've all seen Elon Musk's iRobot Party or We Robot Party with the new Tesla robots nothing like Here Comes Skynet have I witnessed, except seeing those robots walk down the aisle, as it were, the hundreds of them, and serving drinks. And although most of them, if not all of them, were human controlled at the party, we're not long before they're not. And he says that they're going to be 20 to 30,000, and that they'll be the single most bought product on the planet ever. How's that future look like to you when robots are $20,000 a person and they can do the work for us? When the robots are doing the work, what do people do, and how do we get paid?
Ooh.
Raman, you want to go? I have my answer.
I personally see it no different than a human serving. If it's capable of performing the job, great. I mean, $20,000 for I don't know how long that would last. Let's say 20,000 a year. It's a great deal to have a resource that's willing to do all these things for you. And I personally think humans aren't supposed to be working. We're supposed to be creating and enjoying, and then that's really, if we're just stuck in this world where we actually have to do work, provide labor in order to just survive. But really, we're supposed to be creating, come up with original ideas and create, not really just do the same thing over and over. I'm pretty sure serving drinks to people is really nobody's great thing that they, I mean, mixologists, and maybe that's a bit different, but serving drinks at an event, I don't think that's anybody would be upset if a robot's doing that versus a human's doing that. And I think governments will have to start looking at this very seriously in terms of universal income and some of those things, because some jobs will disappear, and then if like the people that don't adapt and retrain or prepare themselves will need to be taken care of by us, the people, and the society.
I always say that there's going to be 4 jobs remaining: politician, diplomat, salesperson, and executive. And maybe entrepreneur kind of fits under as like a type of executive under that category. But like that's it. Basically, it's like the only work that's left is deciding what work needs to get done. And humans are always going to want to do that because, we've seen enough nuclear apocalypse movies. We're not going to let the robots like start telling us what to do. We want to tell the robots what to do. But then we have to agree with each other on what we want to tell the robots to do. And that is the work to be done. Like that, like, have you ever seen those like Star Trek movies? And like, there's like those civilizations and like, they're all in just like robes and like, they don't do any work. They just like walk around and argue with each other and like fight over politics and whatnot. That's our future, like the real work the robots do, and all the work that humans do is arguing with each other on what the robots should be doing.
Well, that seems like a utopian version, and we easily could go to the Wall-E version where we have people floating around, don't know how to do anything. Remember, the captain of the ship floats around on this chair, and he doesn't know how to run the ship, and nobody has not. And like when the robots stop working, no one knows how to fix them anymore, and we have that situation. So it becomes invisible technology. Like the computers are such now, like fridges used to be, where you really have to know how, but no one cares anymore, right? It just works, and when it's broken, you call a specialist to fix it. Where if you had a computer, I don't know, 20 years ago, you really kind of had to know how to use it and build it and stuff. But now anybody can use it. And if it doesn't work, you just call a guy and he comes and fixes it. So is that where AI is going to be our new call a guy and fix it? You know, my computer doesn't work. AI, fix it for me.
I think that, yeah, I think basically the Wally universe is not improbable. But I think that there's a lot more politics than that. There will be a lot more politics than what was depicted in the Wall-E universe. Like in there, all the humans agreed to just be like served by the machines. Like they weren't fighting with each other that much over what the machines should be doing. I think that's a whole can of worms. But personally, I think again about adding value is like if you want to survive and compete with the machines, you have to add more value than what they do, or add value on top of what they do. Some people have hypothesized that means we have to merge with the machines, like, you know, do cybernetic stuff so we become super intelligent AI human hybrids. I don't think that's strictly necessary, but that I wouldn't rule that out as like a potential option.
Isn't that where we're heading with the Neuralink processor and what Elon's doing?
Yeah, so you might be left behind if you don't get a Neuralink. That might be the thing when we're old.
Yeah, recently we just talked about it's come to Canada now. They're testing it in Canada, so that's interesting. Really interesting technology to see that all of that happening. We're in a brave new world where what we thought was impossible is now possible. The Star Trek computer, if it doesn't exist right now, will exist in the next year. You know, Scotty sits down at the computer and he says, "Hey, computer," and it's like, "Oh, yeah, you have to use a mouse. How quaint!" Like it's happening, you know, with computer use and all the tools out there. I wonder what the next generation. This is the question to you: what do the next generation of office users look like? Are they they just tell the computer what to do and the computer goes and does it, or are there going to be more interactions in between?
So
I mean, with Neuralink, go ahead. I was gonna say with Neuralink, you don't even have to tell anybody to do anything. You'll imagine it, and then they'll shoot off some commands for somebody to do something, right? Go ahead, Brad.
I'm personally not convinced that all user interfaces are converging towards conversation. I know that's a popular belief in my industry, and you know, as someone who makes their living building conversational interfaces, I'm definitely a believer, but I don't think it's going to completely go away. There's still a room for a power button and not just like computer on. You know what I mean? Like, and that's because conversational interfaces are probabilistic, and probabilistic interfaces are just always going to be bad at some things. I don't want my computer, like, I don't know if you've ever dealt with like an Alexa or a Google Home, you know, I don't want the power button having that level of unreliability where it like works 90% of the time, but occasionally you're like, what? Hey, why didn't it chime up, or why didn't it listen to me? If conversational interfaces get to the point of, you know, 99.99999% reliability at understanding your intention, that the level of reliability the power button has, like it's not ambiguous what I mean when I press the power button, then yeah, I think actually it will be just like us staring at a screen and like either thinking thoughts at the computer or typing thoughts at the computer, or speaking thoughts to the computer. Yeah, but I think that's really more 40-50 years away, not near term. But I know other people may disagree. What do you think, Raman?
I think 40-50 is probably too far. I think it's more 20 to 30 year timeline before we get to that. Because we're always pushing to do less movement, let's let's typing, let's everything, right? Even talking
Yeah.
is too much for some people. It's like, why do I need to say this thing in too many words? Why computer off, computer on? Why not just on and off, and it should figure out who I'm talking to?
Yeah, just by like where your eyes are gazing, or
Or the time of the day, or what I usually do around that time.
I've heard that eye gaze tracking on the new. I haven't tried it yet myself, but the new Apple mask things, people say it's like trippy and really hard to use. Like
I,
where?
I haven't tried it, and I haven't seen that specific one. And I know I saw yesterday. Was it yesterday before Google announced their new Google Glass glasses? Like, again, the world keeps changing, right? And the way it's amazing to see how fast we're in putting all this technology together, where we saw that hack of the Meta glasses for the Instagram, where the person was walking around in public and it would identify faces, pull the information up on the internet and serve it up to
Nice.
the person, and they'd go up and say, "Hey, Colleen, I remember you from the conference last blah blah blah," and they start to, it just all be fake information they got off LinkedIn or Instagram or whatever. And this is the world we live in now. And
Yeah, but then once the other person also has one, they'll look it up and be like, "No, I didn't. Like, you're tricking me. You're not the person I remember from that conference." Yeah, so it's like once both sides have it, it neutralizes the effect.
absolutely. I mean, this has been a great conversation, and I've thrown it way off by this deep dive in AI and what our future looks like. What does Prospera Labs look like 5 years from now?
I'm hoping to be at the forefront of AI solutions, where we're currently focused on AI agents. I think that's continuing to be our mission for next few years. I think 5 years for sure. So I think I see ourselves being at the forefront of providing AI agent platform, just continuing to improve the platform, making it easy for people to use, and then just keep bringing in more functionality, more capabilities for our agents to do.
Yeah, I would. I want to get us to be a market leader. It's going to be a lot of hard work to get there, but 5 years out, probably faster than that. I think we want to build a reputation, one, for quality, as knowing that we build really good agents that work, maybe have it being known for a more conservative engineering culture versus like a lot of these young AI startups right now. I would want to be live with at least 1,000 different partnerships. I want to see that those partners are actually successful. 5 years from now, I'm hoping that we aren't just a big company, but also that we have made a lot of downstream entrepreneurs big as well. And that there's a whole ecosystem that has sprung up around the company. I think that's 5 years out. That's where we want to be.
And did you want to elaborate just slightly, because we just glossed over it at the beginning, on the opportunity for entrepreneurs to join this industry by using your tools?
Yeah. So, I mean, our basic platform is an AI agent platform, but we are focused on the needs rather than targeting engineers like the vast majority of agent platforms. Like, they're meant to be tools you build on and build a product around or on top of, or maybe you integrate it into your IT infrastructure. We aren't really a platform for the agent itself. We are a platform for your agent business. So we're not really a tech platform. We are a business platform. And so we want to work with entrepreneurs who understand specific verticals, right? Like, you understand insurance, or you understand finance, you understand healthcare. You come to us, we will help you customize you an AI agent that is specific to that vertical. Maybe it does doctor's notes, or it does, or maybe even diagnosis, or maybe it does sales pitches or proposals. We work with you to build that AI agent, and you can go in the market, figure out the right pricing with those customers and everything, and hopefully the both of us can grow together as successful business partners in this industry. So I really think that's where our target is to empower and enable not just ourselves, but other entrepreneurs to gain prosperity from the AI revolution. Brahman?
So where can our listeners or entrepreneurs or potential clients who think, I'm a subject matter expert and I'd love to take a look at these tools and see how this could work in a business platform for me, where should they go to find out more about Prospera Labs?
Our website is a good start, prosperalabs.ai, or just email me and then we can get started there as well, roman@prosperalabs.ai, and then we can do some demos, onboard you onto the platform, show you around the platform, and then show you how we can help kickstart your business.
And for those of you who are listening, that email and those links will be in the podcast show notes. I'd really like to thank you for taking the time to have this great discussion about AI and about Prospera Labs today. I know we got kind of off track on ethics and Skynet and all the other stuff and where AI is going. I really appreciate you going on that journey with me.
For sure. We'll come back and cover the rest.
You're welcome back anytime. Thanks
Awesome.
again.
Thank you. Bye-bye.